beyond measure. And between Illinois' involvement or Illinois' impact with the pipeline and my tradition as an activist who has worked in nonviolent protest for most of my career, I can't stand by and let this happen. We have several folks with us to share their feelings as well, but first I'd like to introduce my colleague, Representative Jamie Andrade. If you have, no, you're good? Okay. So I want to thank Jamie, who's one of several co-sponsors on the resolution, for being here today. Our first speaker is going to be David Bender from the American Indian Center, just outside the 14th District, actually.
Hello. Mitaku Yapi, Wopilaye. Thank you, relatives. It's an honor to be here today among so many wonderful people today in solidarity with Standing Rock. The fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline is one of the most important moments in the history of our nation, but more specifically as human beings. What is happening in Standing Rock right now is one of the most prayerful forms of resistance that I have ever seen in my life. Water protectors are coming together from all over. Indigenous people have united for the first time ever. The Oseti Shakowin camp is now the center of our universe. In the past few weeks, water protectors have been met with hundreds of militarized police, not just in North Dakota, but from different states like I've seen Indiana. So it's important to understand that officers are coming from out of state. And we don't want Illinois to be one of those states where officers are coming to Standing Rock to be a part of this militarized force. These police officers have used every means to physically and psychologically terrorize water protectors. In the past month, they have been sprayed with water cannons in the freezing cold. They've had percussion grenades hurled into crowds that include elders and young people. They've been tear gassed and arrested and even thrown into dog kennels. And just this past week, the governor of North Dakota has stated that he will fine people caught delivering supplies to the camp. What began as an environmental justice issue and indigenous sovereignty issue has now become one of the most glaring struggles for human rights and social justice I have seen in my lifetime. This is a test for humanity. Do we have the love and resolve it takes to defeat this black snake, or will corporate greed trump love for each other, for our love for each other and our home? We must continue to try and understand one another, to love one another, and lock arms as we march to victory, defeating this black snake and whatever else comes next. Thank you.
Next, we're joined by Kate Insolia, an Indigenous organizer in Champaign-Urbana. Oh, I'm sorry, first I want to also introduce, we've been joined by Representatives Ann Williams and Will Gazzardi.
Hello, my name is Kate Insolia and I organize in Champaign-Urbana. My family's of Lakota heritage. My grandfather's from the Lower Brew area in South Dakota. So this touches my heart. And the thing that just keeps coming to my mind is, you know, coming from a family who's been through boarding schools, it was written down by the people who started the Indian boarding schools that they were for the benefit of Native Americans because there was no way that they were going to survive in a white culture. So they were going to be put in these schools and trained to become white, completely get rid of their culture, cut their hair, it was illegal to speak the language. It was illegal to practice their religion. They couldn't even wear the colors that they would wear. And those schools were mandatory until 1975. And it was out of the goodness of people, the white people, thinking that that was going to really help Native Americans. So recently, you know, the government in Morton County saying, for the good of the people, you must evacuate these camps. It's for your health. We're trying to think about you. We don't want you to die. It's the same thing. It's genociding a group of people. And you can genocide them through killing them, or you can do it by completely taking away their culture. And to be indigenous is to be connected to a land base. And if that pipeline breaks, what's going to happen to all those Lakota people on the Standing Rock Reservation? They're going to have to leave and be relocated and separated. It's kind of the genocide of our time. And what will happen to the earth? It's gone forever. You can't take that back. You can't take back a culture that you obliterate. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to bring that back, and the damages that are done. So it's an interesting time, because I think of people as good people, white people, all people, good people, godly people, and this is what's happening is not what good people do. You don't hurt other individuals. You don't ruin the land that they're on. I don't know, so that's my, so I saved that.
Thank you.
Next is Jessica Foo Yong from Food and Water Watch.
Sorry. Hi. Thank you so much. I'm Jessica Foo Yong, the Midwest Region Director at Food and Water Watch. We organizationally are proud to stand with the Standing Rock Sioux in demanding the cease of construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, which violates Indigenous treaties and has desecrated sacred lands. To this end, we've collected over 80,000 letters to President Barack Obama urging him to cancel the permits that were granted by the Army Corps of Engineers. We think that those permits were granted unlawfully. And nationally, I think there's a tremendous amount of both sympathy and solidarity with the Standing Rock Nation who wish to see the Dakota Access Pipeline stopped. But I also want to highlight over 400,000 people nationally have weighed in on this issue. And here in Illinois, there are 10 counties that are threatened by this pipeline. Many individuals, farmers, and landowners alike in these counties are up against charges of eminent domain. And if this construction continues, I think that we'll see further resistance. As an act of solidarity with the people at Standing Rock, I think Illinoisans need to organize together to ensure that all of our land and all of our water is protected from this extractive industry. There's no reason we need to be shipping old, antiquated, and dirty fossil fuels across the countryside when we have renewable energy solutions that we should pursue. So again, Food and Water Watch is honored to stand in solidarity with the people here today, with the legislators who are making this happen, and we wish peace and justice for all of those at the Standing Rock camp. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll hear from Pastor Booker Vance from Faith in Place.
Good afternoon. Namaste. We're just so thankful to be here. One of the things I get really excited about is I've seen some of these folk at 3 or 4 other meetings because we all connect the dots. When we talk about the environment, we know that the issues of injustice that are particularly going on in the northwestern part of the United States, or it's a justice issue, and that we can't ignore it. And justice folk work together. And so I'm glad to see the solidarity of the state reps together and also the people here. We were at a rally here a couple of months ago because, again, folks of justice stand together. I remember as a child graduating in 1975 down south in Texas, and I remember the book Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And to hear the stories then of some of the challenges that were going on and the oppression that was happening against the Native American indigenous peoples here. I also, we just recently had a gathering of about 300 leaders in the green, looking at green in the churches really. And we were talking about that, and a brother named Mark Charles came and talked to us about revisionist history and the irony that we continue to celebrate Columbus Day as if Columbus discovered something. Those kind of ironies and contradictions continue to plague us, and so that's why we're here today as we stand with our brothers and sisters at Standing Rock to know that we oppose the pipeline, and we're going to do whatever we need to necessary. And we're going to make sure that people understand that you got to connect the dots. All of this is connected. All of this continues to be a challenge to us. And in the words of Dr. King, whatever affects any of us directly affects all of us indirectly, and that we all must be concerned. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Next, we'll hear from Georgia de la Garza from Shawnee Hills and Hollers.
Hello, I'm Georgia de la Garza. I'm founder of Shawnee Hills and Hollers, a community organizing group in Southern Illinois. And I want to tell you that I've had the opportunity as an organizer to travel and knock on doors from Patoka down. And I'm hearing the same stories over and over. My well is poisoned. It's costing me a fortune to put in fresh water lines. And the dimensions are going further than what they told us it was going to be. The poison is, exceeding beyond into our farmlands, into our backyards. So there are issues here, and who are you going to believe? I'm going to believe the people that are living on those front lines. I want to say I'm very honored to be here today. Thank you very much. I'm honored to stand with Standing Rock. Our community in Southern Illinois is working very hard to voice that. I think this is a great opportunity to voice that Illinois is teaming together and working against the indignity that's happening in Standing Rock. And I want to say I'm Cherokee from Trail of the Tears. My ancestors go back. Southern Illinois is my homeland, and I'd like to say that this must be recognized. We are connected to all living things. The black snake, as we call it, not only is tearing through our homelands, digging up our ancestors' bones and destroying our artifacts, but by forcing this oil out of Mother Earth, they bring all ancestors, people, plants, trees, fish, animals, insects, all that was once living from a resting place, until we're a nation grateful for the living energy the Creator has gifted us. We will be in servitude and remain standing against the destruction of Mother Earth. Thank you.